Something missing from zine culture today is the ability to really print somebody else's. Back in the day, people would hand out the sheets already cut out, and you could just take those sheets and go to Kinko's and you could make a bunch more zines. Now we distribute all this stuff digitally and it just shows up as pictures from people's iPhones, and that doesn't actually help. So I'm going to walk through how to make a zine that you can distribute online and make very easy to produce. So let's go over to the computer and we'll start. I'm over here in Canva, which is where I do a lot of my initial layout things. I also pasted in here all the pages that I want to feature in this version of the zine, which is 16 pages of classic punk pages and covers. I got a Keith Haring thing or two, a little bit of lesson about the AIDS crisis for some of you who may have missed that. And now we're just going to print this, but we're going to print it as 4 layup, which means that it will show up as quarter pages, which is exactly what we want. One thing to note is that the margins here are going to be smaller than the ones you had in Canva or wherever you're coming from. If they're going to add extra margin, that's probably okay because you're going to want some margin for the printer anyway, because the printer always has some edge that it won't print. We'll see how small these come out when we print this. I'm going to print these 1 each on each side of the paper so that I can cut it out. All right, so now we have our 16 pages cut out here. A couple things I noticed right off the bat. These original ones from Plastered Press, these are going to be tough. So these may end up going the way of the dodo. We're going to see when we lay this out. Everything else looks pretty good. I'd already gone in Canva and pumped up the brightness and the contrast a little bit. Sometimes you have to do that. Some of these I probably should have pulled color out of this one. Sometimes I'll go into Photoshop and I'll actually like tweak very specifically, but I mean, we're making zines here. We're not, putting stuff in the Louvre. The other thing I always check when I do a first print is legibility. Because we're shrinking stuff down, sometimes stuff gets tough to read. I figure it's okay if I have to wear my glasses to see something. These are close enough. I can read the Women in Punk thing. God, this is so great. This Susie Sue, the first lady to get up on stage with her own group. Oh, she's so great. This moment's in history. So now what do we do with this? Well, we can't obviously fold this up because it's going to be all wrong. So now we've got to get it in the right order. Now there's 2 ways that you can go about doing this, and the cheap and easy way is you grab 2 pieces of paper, right? And go ahead and fold it like you're going to fold your zine. It's pretty straightforward. So just like we did in the other video, we'll fold that over, grab a bone folder, just as if we're making a regular zine, but we're not going to cut it. Instead, what we're going to do is grab a pen and you just go through and label it 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. So if you do that, you can now actually lay this up. You can unfold this. There's 2 big problems with this. One is obviously it's super sloppy, and while there's room for slop in zines, you want it to be deliberate. I think you want it to be deliberate. The other problem is that working in collage or layout, unless you're just going to put 1 piece of paper here, which we're going to do this time, working in this space on 2 sides can get really clunky and can make it a real pain when you go to photocopy it. So this is fine if you're just doing something quick and dirty, but honestly I'm going to throw this in the recycle bin. There's an easier way. I made this zine template. It's got nice marks down the middle. It's got page numbers on it. You can just print this out and you're ready to go. All right, so now we've got our 16 pages all printed out. We know where they're going to go. We could put this on the paper cutter, but I like to trim out some of these edges so that I've got a little room to lay out. So I'm actually going to do all of this with a straight edge and an X-Acto knife. Whew. Okay, now we got to lay this out. I got lots of little collage pieces. This is starting to feel like a normal zine project. And I'm just going to work my way through primarily using this stuff, AdTech Tape Glue Runner Removable. I've been trying to find something that's as good as the old wax that we used to use, a little thing with electric cord on it, used wax. I can't find them anymore. This seems to be the best we can do. Makes me sad, but you got to work with the tools you got, I guess. So let's go ahead and lay this out. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the spread right now, which would be 8-9. 8-9 is always your spread. Never forget that. 8-9 is always your spread. So we'll skip ahead and we'll lay out 10. I like that black flag poster. You do want to think about what's on a facing page and what's not. It's more natural to read text that's on an odd page, which are the front pages. So I'm putting the Women in Rock thing on page 13, and I'm putting the cover of that same zine facing it. So you put the visual on the left and you put the reading on the right. That seems to work pretty well, but you know, do whatever you want to do. All right, so here we go. We've got all 4 pages of the zine laid out. So then the question is, how do you turn this into an actual zine? So you could run this through and copy each one by itself, then flip over your paper, et cetera, et cetera. The beauty of a modern copy machine is that you can generally, scan it to the memory of the machine and then use that. You might think you could just scan it into your computer. For some reason, it's not the same. I have a memory stick on my printer of every zine that I've done, and I use that as what I store and what I put online. There's something different about it. I don't know what it is. The way it's compression. It's because it thinks it's text, and I have no idea. So there, now I've got 1, 2, which tucked in there a little bit, 3, 4. So I know that this will lay out correctly. Now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to make a single file scan that's each 4 of these pages, just like this in the scanner, and we'll be ready to go. And now we're just back to where we were before yesterday when we were making these up for the first time. You put your 1 on top of your 3. So not that hard once you get used to it, and boy, it just never stops being compelling to me. Anyway, you can grab those templates at 85bb65.com and a copy of Punk and Queer Zines from Gen X for inspiration and lament. Cheers. Get out there.